I'm Fiona MacKay and welcome to Tarot and Handwriting, Slant and Pressure. We're going to look at tarot and how you can add graphology or handwriting analysis to tarot. And we're just going to look at two traits today because you really don't need to know everything about graphology to be able to make a difference to your tarot readings with it. So today we're going to look at the slant of the writing and the pressure that's exerted on the paper when someone is writing. If you would prefer to read this rather than watch it, I do have a blog post on it and the link is below in the description box. And also if you would like me to do a tarot and handwriting reading for you, there's also a link below in the description box. So let's get going with tarot and handwriting, slant and pressure. Here I'll isolate just two personality traits and illustrate how they might affect a tarot reading. The traits are emotional expression and depth of emotion. Each of these shows in a different way, and yet they play very much together in how a person both feels and behaves. First, how to identify these two traits from any writing. Yes, any writing. Everyone will show their degree of emotional expression and their depth of feeling in their writing. It doesn't matter whether they write, print, or do a mixture of both. And all caps shows the least in handwriting, but emotional expression and depth of feeling shows in that too. So I'll show you how to identify them first, and then I'll give you some examples of how you can use it in your tarot readings. Whether the writer is left-handed or right-handed doesn't matter either. Although be prepared for the occasional lefty who insists their left slanted writing is a result of writing with their left hand. That is just not true. Just as many right-handers write with a left-hand slant, and just as many left-handers write with an upright or right-hand slant. How emotionally expressive a writer is shows in the slant of the writing. Starting with upright writing. This is someone who's most comfortable remaining cool and calm no matter what is happening in their life. They'll generally show poise. They won't appear withdrawn or holding themselves back, however. They don't like to let emotion take over, and this is only how they express themselves, remember. How they feel will come when we take a look at the depth of feeling. The more the writing slants to the right, the more expressive this writer will be of how they feel, whether it's joy, anger, fear, confidence, or any other feeling. A slight right-hand slant will show feelings only mildly. A moderate right-hand slant will show feelings moderately, and a far right-hand slant will show feelings to a more extreme extent. So the further over to the right, the more expressive someone will be of how they feel at this moment. The backhand or left-facing slanted writers hold their feelings in. It doesn't mean they don't have feelings, it means they don't like to let their feelings get the better of them. So to some extent subconsciously, but if necessary also consciously, they hold their feelings in. If they're obliged to show their feelings, they'll be acutely uncomfortable with doing so. In an intimate relationship, it's normal to say things to show you care, and the backhanded writer may well say these words and mean them, although even that will be difficult for them. But the emotion that we show in the far right-hand writer will be missing with the far left slant writer. So there's one moderately left, there's one a bit more left, and there's a far left writer. So the far left writer, the top right there, will hold their feelings in till it just about kills them. They'll only let their feelings out as a last resort. The rule is the same for left or right slanted writing. The more extreme the slant, the stronger the inclination to express for the right-hand slant, and to not express for the left-hand slant how they feel. Know a strong left-slanted writer who shows extreme emotion at times? Yes, it happens, and that will be explained once I've shown you what the depth of expression looks like in handwriting. How heavily the writer presses on the page when writing shows how heavily the feelings press on their heart, how deeply they take in feelings. A Sharpie or a felt pen always looks heavy and dark, so you can't tell pressure with them. So we're looking at a pencil or a ballpoint or a fountain pen if anyone still uses one of these. No Sharpies. Someone who writes with very light pressure is someone who may be intensely emotional when something happens. And this example here is a light line writer, but look at the far right slant. So that means they express their emotions extremely. So things won't last for long with them, but when it happens, they will be intensely involved and intensely expressive. However, no matter how strongly it shows, how happy, sad, angry, or whatever emotion they show, the light line writer will allow the feelings to fade really, really fast. They'll not hold on to any emotion for long. It's a flash in the pan kind of emotional outburst. A writer with very light writing and a backhand slant, as you see there, will show very little emotion at any time. They'll let bygones be bygones very fast indeed. You might never know they had any feelings on this topic at all. The upright light line writer will stay calm and let go fast. So again, you may never know whatever it was had any emotional impression on them at all. On the other hand, someone with very heavy writing, regardless of the slant, will take a feeling and just hang on to it, sometimes literally forever. They may forget what the actual event was, but they'll still have this feeling if they come to that place or see that person again that they just weren't happy or didn't like it. They'll still have the feeling, although they may not remember exactly what happened. So if the heavy writer has a far right slant, expect the feeling to be almost overpowering and continue that way on that topic for a very long time. A heavy writer with a backhand slant will hold their feelings in. The heavy writer with an upright slant will remain cool and poised. However, inside the feelings are strong, very strong if it's very heavy writing. Moderation in either slant or pressure, of course, produces moderate results and effects. What happens when you have very strong feelings that last a very long time, but you don't allow them to show? Boom! Eventually an explosion will occur. Think about putting a pot of water on the stove with a tight-fitting lid. As the water heats and the steam builds up, the pressure on the lid to pop open grows and grows. Eventually, the steam will blast the lid off. This is what happens to the heavy writer, who doesn't allow their emotions to be expressed. They explode. It may look like temper if it's a negative feeling that they've been holding in. It will be intense no matter whether the feeling was positive or negative, and it will be released with force, but it's not temper, however. It's just the release of built-up emotional pressure. If this heavy backhanded writer can learn to express their feelings ongoingly and regularly, these outbursts could be avoided. Of course, it is possible to be a backhanded heavy writer with a temper. But for this example, I'm assuming that temper is not present in the writing. It's an entirely different trait. How this can help you as a tarot reader is that by looking at any piece of writing, printing, or print script and identifying how intense and long-lasting the feelings will be, with that information in mind, after only a glance at the writing, you're immediately able to make your tarot reading more individual and personal. When you say to your querent, because you show your feelings very much, and then continue on to an event or situation showing in a reading that will be affected by that, you're making the reading immediately mean more to that person. There may be a time when you see a strong left-hand slant and the cards are talking about a relationship. Giving the querent the advice that this relationship is likely to be coming their way and that it's important, if they want it to work out, that they make an effort to make sure the other person knows how they feel, since they're inclined to hold their feelings in. Again, the writing has allowed you to add advice and a little coaching to the reading. You have decisions to make, the cards say. The writer has an upright slant, so you could see that they're likely to remain calm and make a good decision. Again, by sharing this with the querent, you're giving them confidence in their ability to handle the upcoming situation. Alternatively, there are decisions to be made in a far right slant. Beware. This querent is likely to allow their heart to overrule the logic of their head. This may be appropriate in the upcoming situation, but it equally well may not be advisable. The variations in these situations are endless, but hopefully this has given you a taste of just how useful, informative and helpful knowing how to identify even just these two traits is. Your advice can help the querent be aware of both their strengths and their weaknesses moving forward. What it does for you, the tarot reader, is it helps you to know the querent better, and so to be able to word their reading in a way that you will know will resonate best with them. Deliver your reading with emotion for the far right writer because they'll connect with that. Deliver it calmly for the left slant writer because they'll be uncomfortable with emotion. With heavy writing, be careful because you know they're going to keep this in their heart and go over and over it for a long time to come. So be honest, but don't exaggerate the emotional impact. To make things happen, to make this work for you, I would suggest you play around with this for a bit. When you do a reading for yourself, or as you remember one you've done for a querent, consider the various slants and pressures that a writer could do, and think about how this would impact the reading for both the querent and for how you, the reader, could present the information. Then once you feel comfortable with doing that, ask your querents to write out their questions for you, and use the writing to inform you of their emotional style as you do the reading.